The Configuration Manager utility provides a simple editing of the XDM server configuration. It enables modification of the same settings that are contained in the input XML file. This utility provides on-the-fly checking, documentation, and test capabilities, as well as the option to import or export the XDM server configuration. Remember, no configuration changes, whether made through the editor or by importing an XML file, will be applied to the active XDM server until server deploy, server update, or server config update is executed. From the Start menu under Xpedition Enterprise VX1.1, System Utilities Toolbox, I will launch the Configuration Manager. At the top, this is the menu. Just below it, we have the Smart Server Actions bar. Based on the status of the XDM server and your pending configuration, you will be able to test the configuration, deploy and/or update the XDM server. The left side provides a list of all the resources that you can configure for the XDM server to use. For each resource, in the middle of the screen, you get a form with all the fields that configure the resource. On the right, you see a dynamic help section which will support you along the process. You have the option to learn more about the resource configuration by reading the answers to the questions, by opening the relevant chapter on the user's guide, and even by launching a training video. Let's select the XDM server load to demonstrate some of the capabilities of the editor. The help section on the right dynamically changed. For each field of the form, you have a supporting pop-up bubble with help about the field. As you type in a new value, validation of the value will be made. If the validation failed, not only the field will be colored red, but also the resource label, and the message will indicate what went wrong. Once the validation passed, this icon indicates that the value was changed but not yet saved. The resource label is now green as a reminder. You have the option to restore to default value of a specific field, or from the menu you can reset all the values. Also on the menu, you have the option to export the configuration to an XML file. You can choose to export the pending or the active configuration, and also to automatically decrypt the file so that it can be opened with a text editor. In a similar way, I can import an XML file. From the Server Actions bar, I will click to test the configuration. I think that I'm ready to launch the deployment of the XDM server. I can click here to view more details about the progress. Finally, I will get an indication about the latest deployment of the XDM server with a link to more detailed information. Now that the XDM server is deployed, the Configuration Manager is able to provide another indication. If I modify values of the pending configuration and save it, an indication that the active configuration is different will appear both next to the field as well as on the label of the modified resource. On the Smart Server Actions, you will get an indication about the update operation required for the XDM server, as well as a link to launch the update. For some resources, you will notice specific tests are available. If you modified some of the settings, we recommend running those tests before trying to deploy the XDM server. Those tests should help you in configuring and deploying the XDM server successfully. Finally, let's view a few more resources. By configuring SSL, you will enable secure data transport between the XDM server and the clients. Database resource enables definition of an Oracle server instead of the default embedded database. If you want to configure SMTP server, click Add SMTP and fill in the fields. Now you can test the connection to the SMTP server. We believe that with the embedded help and the support on the right side of the screen, you will be able to successfully configure and deploy the XDM server. The Configuration Manager utility provides simple editing of the XDM server configuration. We demonstrated how to use the editor and how to launch the server actions. We demonstrated the online help that the utility provides, as well as the indication about values as you enter them. We saw that if the pending configuration is different than the active configuration, you will be advised to run server update, which can be done directly from the Configuration Manager utility.